Welcome to the Vitality Lounge, a place where the uncomfortable questions become comfortable, where conversations, topics, and expert guests unlock the keys to vitality, empowering you to embrace the vibrant life you deserve. Now here's your host, Micol Bok.
Today's guest is a connecting and communication expert, best-selling author, host of the Thrive Loud podcast. He helps leaders and brands harness the power of connection to amplify impact and success. Help me welcome on the Vitality Lounge, Lou Diamond. Hi, Lou. Welcome to the Vitality Lounge.
I am excited to be here, Micol. This is awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, Lou, we always start with a question here at the Vitality Lounge. And the question is, what is vitality?
I kind of knew that this question would be coming just because I've watched a couple of episodes. I was trying to figure out exactly what it is. I think vitality is the fuel that engages us and enables us to connect with others. I believe that when we connect with ourselves, with our passion, with our purpose, it provides us with an energy. And so vitality, when people think it's like an uplifting energy, to me, it's almost like that ability to bring all of that together, and when it comes out, it enables us to be unbelievably purposeful, unbelievably engaging, unbelievably effective in whatever our goals might be, whether it's to connect in a conversation, whether it's to make a presentation, whether it's to perform our best on a dance floor, or make the most out of life. So to me, it's this fuel that gets charged, but it only comes together and comes out when everything else clicks together. Those purpose, your cause, and all the things inside of you comes together and clicks.
I love that. That's a great answer. You
I practiced.
You thought about it. I can see.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, Micol. So yes, I did practice.
It's a good one. It's a good one for our listeners. Good practice. You connect people a lot. That's kind of what you do, connecting, communication, expert conversation. How did you get into that? And then we'll dive deeper into all of what it means, actually.
I think the fast track version of my whole career is that I was always connecting with people. And a lot of people would say that this was, maybe it's an innate thing. Like, they have this expression in sales, either you were born to sell or you can't sell.
Yep.
And sales is something you can't teach. I don't know if that's the answer, but I do know that you can coach someone on how to connect. Mm-hmm. Throughout my life, whether I was working as a young teenage kid working for my dad in his jewelry store, which was in a store that, I kid you not, was not much bigger than this couch, to working in consulting, working on Wall Street, working as an entrepreneur. Throughout the years, I've always had this knack for not just selling something or managing a relationship well. I've had this ability to really make connections that bond and stick, and not only help me in my career, but also, maybe even more importantly, help the people I'm trying to connect with even more. Mm-hmm. And I kind of became obsessed with it. Okay. Obsessed with it to the point that I said, I think I know I can help people do something that they can really benefit in every single thing they do. So I did a lot of research. I'd written a book called The Master the Art of Connecting, where I kind of touched upon the importance of connecting. And then as time went on, I started to realize something else. And actually, this medium that you and I are speaking with right now also kind of double-clicked on it a little bit. And that was that I figured out where every connection in our lives is made. Mm. And it's made in a conversation. Yep. If you think about every connection you have in your life, from your family to your earliest friends, to the people you went to school with, the people you have worked with professionally, the people you dance with, or the people, even the horses, I know you're a horseback rider.
I communicate with them.
Right, exactly. You're connecting, and it's through a conversation.
Yeah.
The conversation is where it starts. And if I used to say, well, is it something I said in the conversation? Is it something actually maybe I did before the conversation? And I realized, nope, that wasn't it. and going back through my whole career, I realized it was how you need to be in a conversation. And that way became what I eventually titled the Speakeasy Methodology. It's how you can connect with every conversation and the way you need to be in those moments. And what that does, and making it applicable for the show, is you really are tapping into your own vitality, or the person you're connecting with, their vitality.
Yep.
Because as you've started to learn, I know you're early on this particular podcast, every time you do one of these conversations that you have with your guests, you're enlightened, you're amazed. It's a learning experience. You take in so much.
Yeah.
It really is a gift. Every conversation is a gift.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, if connection is an important part to living and helps us live it better, if we really understand how we can connect, we'll have the most vitalized, amazing, incredible life we can have. So I keep having more and more and more of them. I just can't stop. But I also, I know it's a little obsessive, but it's also really important because I think there's a lot of disconnection today in the world. And a lot of it is because people aren't having the conversations they need to have in their personal lives, in their business places. I think if we don't have to get there, but politically, parties have been separated in different points of view because they don't want to have the conversation. But when they do, it brings us together. And it brings us together maybe not to understand every single thing or convince someone of something else, but it's really to understand and dig in deeply into someone else's world and see what they're about. And that, to me, is essential. So that's what I'm about, and that's what I love about helping people understand how they can connect better.
I love that. I think nowadays, actually, we lost that art of connection more. I think 5 years ago with what COVID was, we started connecting online. There's ways that we connect that are different than what we had in the past, but then actual conversations are really hard to have, and people are kind of scared, don't know how to talk anymore. So I think you're gonna have a lot of clients because of that. But how do you see that? Like, how has it been for you? Have you noticed that?
Oh, and I would argue it happened way before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say, these devices that we have, I have my phone nearby, happen to be incredibly unbelievable when you think about what they can do. And they were meant to connect us and bring us together. But because of so many different aspects of the ways that we can do it, we always find the easiest route to connect to somebody. I used to just go crazy when people would just text you and they wouldn't want to pick up the phone and have a conversation. I was always about guiding and leading people to conversations. But because of all of think of the mediums in the workplace, from Slack to DMs to even the DMs within all of the social media platforms.
I have a funny story about that, by the way.
You can go an entire day in the workplace and never speak to another human being. It's sad.
Okay, I gotta tell you the story just because it's really funny. I did an internship back in New York. That was some time ago. I remember that, again, I come from Europe, so I say hello to everyone. I walk down the street. That's not a thing in New York. You don't say hello to people. And then you walk in the office. I'm like, okay, hello, good morning. No answer. I'm like, fine, whatever. Sit down at my desk, cubicle, whatever. And then right next to me is my manager. And she assigns me a task through chat. And I'm like...
And she's sitting right next to you, of course, right?
Do I answer like this?
Right.
Like, do I tell her yes, no, maybe? Do I send her a text? And I was so confused. I'm like, what do I do? And she didn't even look at me. Like, you're right here, talk to me. And so that was really funny. I don't know what I did. I think I answered back via text just because I was like, this is awkward if I ask her something. So
I think what has happened, going back, I believe that this loneliness thing, and by the way, I'm borrowing this from one of my colleagues, Jason Lauritsen, is actually doing a study to understand. He's doing the human connection study where he's trying to understand why we're not connecting where we need to. He actually recently came on my podcast program, and we had this discussion about it. And he's 100% right that we need to get down into the details as to what's happening. But going back to 2017, 2018, there was a tremendous amount of people unhappy and lonely in the workplace. And COVID only fast forwarded that issue because that enabled us to do things in a way where we had to be this way. And we weren't having the conversations. And what I believe is really scary is people were convinced that it was more important to do things quickly or to send that Slack message to you, like, here's the order that I think, because that would make sense, versus better understanding what is the best communication to connect with that particular person. For the record, there are certain things that can be done via DMs or text messages and whatnot, but there are other things that need to be communicated because they're a two-way street. I have viewed email as one of the most toxic things in the world because it's one-way communication. If you have to have like 2 back and forth emails with another human being and you haven't picked up the phone or walked over and had a conversation, you're disconnecting yourself further. And what I believe, to your point, is yes, COVID was an amplifier, really shining the light on the fact of how separate we physically had to be. And how much we missed the conversations. That was another part. A lot of people got upset, and because they were missing that interaction. But it was growing beforehand tremendously. And yeah, so I was even busy back then in helping people better connect in the workplace. And what was kind of a weird, funny part was that I was doing this medium through my podcast show. Thrive Loud started in late 2016, early 2017, which was, people didn't know what a podcast was.
I was going to say early adopter for sure.
Oh, early adopter, and nobody knew what a podcast even was. Like they didn't quite get it. And we didn't do all the cool things that we do now with video on the early stages. But having these conversations for me had multiple purposes. One, it was to make a connection with the other person on the guest. 2, was to highlight these incredible things that these people were doing. And 3, it was to start to build a forum and basically a community that was centered around connecting through conversations in a way that was showing how when you really do connect with someone, you thrive. And it has become the epicenter of that. So one of the ways that I've been helping people, as you're familiar with, is I've been helping other people create their own programs and their own podcasts and get in different ways, which has been the weirdest happy accident ever. If you were to tell me we were producing podcasts for all these different amazing people and getting them to do the same, I would have said, so I'm kind of like Dr. Dre in the music business and finding all these other cool producers. But what I love,
it's a chain effect of your passion.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's also, it's a real example of the power of connecting. Because you're right, it is hard to even find the time to get the conversations to happen. We're so busy. And there's a crazy stat. There's billions of people on the planet. And as weird as it sounds, it's hard to find this moment that you and I are having right now. But it enables us to be present. It enables us to tap into what life is all about, capturing this moment, this energy that's here. And it becomes not only an incredible thing between the two people who will make that connection. And I will tell you, I can go back to 2017 to a guest that I've had on the show, and it'll be like a minute ago if I talk to them tomorrow, because they'll be like, oh my God, we had such a great conversation back then, and we tapped into certain things and we talked about this. Let's do that again. Because I learned that one of the hidden benefits or goals of every conversation is to have another one. When you're in a sales meeting and you have a conversation with a prospect, your goal is to continue the process until they're a client.
You never finish the call without booking another call.
Exactly, right? She's a good student, by the way.
Very good student.
you follow up your podcast conversations and talk about how we're going to promote and market it, or what else they're working on next. You finish your conversations with your teams to figure out what the next goals are. So it's weird. I think the workplace actually might be the last bastion of hope on where we can actually try and improve getting people to not only be lonely, but find the right connections. But I also think everything that we do in our lives can be carried over into our personal lives as well. Sure. I loved learning about you that you dance, and there is an unspoken conversation that happens when you dance, but it is a conversation. It's through movement and different ways of communicating.
Hey everyone, I've had some of you ask me, Vitality Lounge powered by Gainswave. But what is Gainswave? Well, let me tell you. Gainswave is the leading regenerative solution for him, recur, and recovery. If you're ready to feel more alive in your body, GainsWave uses safe, non-invasive acoustic wave therapy that boosts blood flow, sensitivity, performance, relief, and healing without pills, needles, or downtime. Absolutely pain-free and under 15 minutes. Restore performance from the inside out and reclaim your spark with GainsWave. So if you're ready to go deeper into pleasure, connection, and peak performance, go to gainswave.com and find a provider near you today. Embrace vitality.
When I wrote my book, Speakeasy, this is a funny story.
Okay.
I initially thought I was going to make the book about listening, because we all know how important it is to listen. I
was going to ask actually how important is listening in the whole conversation. I think listening is a key part to everything. Like if you don't listen, I don't know what you're talking about, right?
It's a, they gave us 2 of these and 1 of these. We're supposed to use them proportionally.
They're like, listen, don't speak.
Yeah.
We speak a lot here, but we honestly, like, we're listening. Like what you just said, presence.
It's being here in the moment.
Here.
Your listeners and viewers who are checking out this content, there's something in here that they're trying to take away. And it's in that moment that they're listening that it's just so vital.
Yeah.
And I was going to focus on listening, and I learned a couple of things. I even went and reached out to a company in the Pacific Northwest that focuses on hearing and hearing aids, because I wanted to understand not just hearing, but how it was processed and how it listened. And 2 things came out of it. One, I was not the person to write this book. There was so much detail and so much information, and
you're like, this is too much.
I recognized that it was part of it. It was a very key, important part to make sure that you're listening. But it was understanding the overarching importance of the conversation as a whole that was really what was valuable. And to be able to speak easy enables you to make the connections faster through being curious, through being focused, through being alert, through being fearless, through being all the things that when you think about the people you want to connect with in your life, what you like about those certain traits, you're trying to unearth that. You're trying to unearth the vitality within you that enables you to be the person you want to connect with.
So do you focus on yourself when you connect with someone in conversation, or do you focus on the other person?
Oh, great question. I focus on the person I'm having the conversation with 100%. They're the only person that matters in any conversation is the person you're trying to connect with. The minute I start making it about me, going back to listening, there are 3 levels of listening, and I learned this when I became a coach. Simply put, there's self-listening, which is listening about yourself, which you do about 98% of the time. And if anyone questions, I don't make it all about myself 98% of the time. The minute you say that, you're going to realize, oh my God, I just made it about myself, right?
My funny story about that is whenever I introduce myself, I say my name, and I'm so focused on saying my name properly and somehow appearing good, like, hi, my name is Micol, that I forget about the name of the other, and I'm always like, what was his name again?
And you are is a good way to start. And you are, like, what's your name?
What?
You are Micol. Oh, excellent. So the first level listening is basically this outside one where you're focused on yourself. But the second one, in the focused listening, you are solely focused on the person you're connecting with. There's a third level, which is kind of like this existential listening, which is really the feeling and the vibe. The best way I can describe this is when your horse that you're riding senses that there's something wrong or whatever, that unspoken connection, like, even before you're about to pull the reins and say, we're going this way, that unspoken piece, think of that as like when you're really connected to somebody, you've had so many conversations, or the vibes of some other human being that literally you don't even have to say anything, you're both on the same page. That's a whole different level of an unspoken connection. But that second part is where the connection begins. The second and third part is where you really get deep. You learn what the other person cares about. I like to think of it as 2 worlds, and using these orbs would be cool. Let's do this. We're going to do this. Roll this over here. This is your world and this is my world. So like this right here, these 2 worlds touching, that's not connecting. This is networking. This is like my world came close to yours. But in reality, and I can't do it here, when these worlds overlap, imagine a Venn diagram. When I can see into your world and you can see into mine, it is at that point, that's where we overlap. And we learn that in a conversation. And we learn that by asking great questions. We ask great questions to build the relationships, to connect with the people we do business with, we personalize with, we love, whatever it might be. And yes, it starts with the person that isn't you.
Yeah.
A lot of people need to connect with themselves first, and there's a whole conversation about that. But in a conversation, I always make it about the person I'm trying to connect with.
The other person
Yeah.
in front of you, for sure. Is there like, I guess you kind of mentioned them a little bit, but like steps to a really good conversation? If you were to outline like, okay, someone that struggles a little bit to connect with people and wants to get out there a little more, what would you suggest and recommend? Like briefly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So let's start off with how we introduce ourselves, right? And you made the comment, hi, my name is Micol. I love to make sure that when I introduce myself, I don't say the job title I have, like I don't say, hi, I'm Lou Diamond, I'm the head of Thrive Loud Productions. I don't say that. I usually will lead with something along the lines of, my name is Lou, I'm a connecting and influence expert, and I'm passionate about a lot of things, and I'll inject whatever that is right there. And right now, I'm passionate about my sports teams or something of that nature. Or my favorite introduction ever was a woman who worked with me, who the first time I met her, she goes, my name is Nisha. I'm currently in finance, but one day I hope to be a sushi chef.
I love that. And
Nisha is originally of Indian descent, and she actually owns an Indian sushi restaurant today, where she's one of the first female sushi chefs in Tokyo, Japan, that has this mixed fusion cuisine within it, which is pretty impressive. And this was a passion of hers, that she would introduce her passion right when she would meet somebody.
That's so powerful. The words you say, what you put out there in the world, is the key to your success as well, and to what you visualize and envision for your life. So words have so much power.
And getting to that initial, to somebody who's looking to start a conversation, what a great way to start a conversation. I used to say this expression, my name is Lou, I'm from New York, and I happen to love country music, which is kind of weird because I grew up in New York City, and that would not necessarily be the country music bastion of the world, but I do love it.
You do say hello. Sorry, you grew up in New York City, you always say hello, but
I do say hello.
You're not the common New Yorker.
I'm the atypical. Although I will admit, walking in the street in New York City and say hello to everybody could be exhausting.
I don't do that either. That's a little too much. But at the office.
But I hear you. In the office, I would say hello. I was the person who said hello, or good morning, or
good morning.
How is it? Yeah, there's some people who need to. Maybe they just need their coffee. We're going to give them a little break. But if you come in and lead with that piece, and I talk about country music, they'll come back and be like, what artists do you like? And where do you go? And now you start talking about the things that you care about initially, because for those who are uncomfortable starting a conversation or trying to connect in their conversation, the goal is, in bringing those worlds together, is that we want to make sure that we're at least comfortable right away, because we don't want to connect with the person that's, not engaging or a little reserved. We want to connect with the person who's willing to open up. Yep. If someone shows that they're willing to open up with another, there's a greater likelihood that that person you're trying to connect with will open up to you. Yeah. So I love always coming up with something unique and special that, by the way, is only about you. I've had this conversation with you many times. You've got so many unique things to start with, whether you love marketing, whether you love branding, whether you host this show, whether you ride horses, all of the things that you do, and dance. Those are incredible topics of conversation to engage with. Where do you compete when you dance, or where do you ride? And then all of a sudden, if there's an overlap between these two worlds, you've already made a connection. And now it's about then getting to the other stuff that you might be interested in. What are you here at this trade conference for? Or what are you doing at this networking event? Or what are you looking to get out of it? Those are questions that if you find out what somebody else is, and here's the real currency in conversations or connection, as I love to say, the common currency is help. Mm-hmm. If you connect with another individual, your goal is to help that person in some way. How can I help Micol make this particular episode even better? Mm-hmm. What can I do to make this episode the best? And I'll be like, what do you want to tap into? Now, I happen to be familiar with your content on your show, so if I have to ask that question, that could be a problem. But I know the importance of trying to help another person. Yeah. And bringing out my superpowers on this episode is what's going to be engaging for you, for your listeners, and we'll keep the conversation going. But that's true with every conversation.
I think that's also what I do with my guests. I always ask them, is there something that you would like me to mention?
Yeah.
Like specifically to you, is there something that you want to tap into? Because it goes both ways, right? In the conversation, like, can I help you? Like,
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Help is, we forget that service is really an important part of who we are. When you serve others, people remember it.
Yeah.
People appreciate it. And that is a sense of appreciation. And we don't know how to service someone until we have a conversation with them, understand what help they need.
Yeah.
And the gift that we can give started with that first conversation, and where we can help someone maybe deliver work, maybe introduce them to somebody, or maybe just get to know somebody else. That's all helping. We always need someone to talk to at certain times. Isn't it great to know that that's someone we can go to?
Yeah.
That's the exchange we would go through.
I love that. Is there a life motto or advice that you live by that you would like to share with any listeners here today?
So I don't know if I live by it, but I do use it a lot. You were recently a guest on my show, and I closed the show by saying, be brief, be bright, be gone. And while most people think it's a summary of a very quick podcast that's trying to get to a point, there is something to it that I try to do. I think be brief is the one, resource in this planet that we can't get more of is time.
Yeah.
And when we have a conversation, or we're spending time, or we're doing something with someone, we have to be appreciative of the person we're with and their time, because they're taking time out from something else to connect or be with you.
Yeah.
So one, be brief within that moment and get the most out of it, and be bright, using my last name, or being, shine when you can, is not just to be intelligent in those conversations, but it's really unearth and bring out your true authentic self, the vitality within you that you want every time you want to have a conversation with that person, because that's what's going to light them up.
Yeah.
And be gone does not mean drop the mic and walk away. Be gone. It could be. And sometimes you might need to. But be gone, as I love to say, is to move onward and upward, which means to thrive.
Yeah.
And I think by doing that, if you do that each and every day, and I try as best as I can to do that I'd say that's an underlying motto that I love to live by. And I try to live up to that when I can. But it's certainly one that I've been using of late. I call it B5G, by the way. Be brief, be bright, be gone. It's got 5 B's and 1 G.
Interesting. I like that. I like that. Well, thank you for sharing that. Lou, if someone requires your services or is looking just into learning more about conversation, communication, connection, where can they find you? Where can they find everything that you do? So you can find me everywhere at thriveloud.com. That's THRIVELOUD.com. It's at Thrive Loud on all social handles. And most specifically, when you go there, you're going to learn about Thrive Loud Productions, where we produce some of the most incredible and engaging podcast programs that are out there. And we are doing a great job helping people connect their brand and their voice to the world. That's been a key part of our business, but it's also a key aspect. So all of those things is where you can find me, and where we can help maybe you get your voice out there. I love that. Lou, thank you so much for being here today. My true honor to be here. You've been listening to The Vitality Lounge with Micol Bok, powered by Gainswave. Make sure to subscribe to The Vitality Lounge wherever you get your podcasts. Gainswave is a clinically proven therapy that allows you to embrace vitality both in the bedroom and in your life. Whether to improve and boost performance, pleasure, and confidence, head on over to Gainswave.com. Thanks for listening.